My dad replaced my mom with his new girlfriend, and gave her my mom's engagement ring. It feels like a lifetime ago. I was 17, still figuring out who I was, what I wanted, who I wanted to be, when my mom died. My world stopped. Mom was my best friend, my partner in crime, my confidant. We shared everything. We baked cookies together. We watched movies together. We had long talks about everything and nothing. About boys, about school, about life. I trusted her completely, and I knew that she would always be there for me, no matter what. Then, all of a sudden, she wasn't. She died, and nothing was ever the same. Mom's death was like a big wave that crashed over me. It knocked me off my feet and left me gasping for air. It was a tidal wave, and everything in my life, everything I knew, got washed away. It was like I was lost at sea, with no land in sight, and no idea how to swim. My dad was lost too. He was grieving, trying to figure out how to live without Mom. He tried to be strong for me, to pretend like everything was okay, but he couldn't hide the sadness in his eyes, the emptiness in his voice. I wanted to be strong for him, but all I wanted was to curl up in a ball and never move again. Losing Mom felt like a piece of me had died too. My dad tried to find happiness again. He'd go on dates, talk about the women he met, and he'd even tell me how things were going. I was happy for him, I guess. I wanted him to be happy, to find love again. He needed that, but part of me just wanted to stay trapped in that dark place. The place where I could remember everything about Mom and how much I loved her. That's when I met Millie. I don't mean met, like a big, planned introduction. I don't mean meet, like in a movie. It was this weird, awkward encounter at a party. There was a lot of noise, a lot of people, a lot of dancing. And I had to be there. I don't know why, I think I just wanted to be anywhere but my own house. My room was where all the memories were, and I didn't want to deal with those. Millie was at that party, and it wasn't exactly a meeting. It was like we were caught in a whirlpool, circling each other, trying to get close, but being pulled back by a force we couldn't see. It was weird, that first encounter. It felt electric. I saw her again, a couple of months later. It was the first time I saw her and knew it wasn't just a weird party coincidence. It was like I knew what I was getting myself into, and I was just hoping it was going to be okay. My dad had been dating Millie for a while. He kept it quiet, acting like everything was just fine, like he wasn't really interested in Millie. He pretended like they were just friends, that they had only met online, that there was nothing serious going on. But I knew. I could see through it all. There was something about her. Millie wasn't just this shy, sweet, online friend like my dad had claimed. There was something more. I felt a connection to her, and it was a confusing, twisted connection that left me wanting to both run and hide, and tell the whole world. My dad said that Millie was nice. He said she just needed time to get to know me. But I saw through it all. She was good at acting the part. She was always nice. She was always charming. But the way she looked at me, the way she smiled, the way she talked to me, it felt like there was something going on behind the scenes. One night, we fought. It was a big fight. It was an ugly fight, like everything inside me was finally breaking, and I could only hold it together for so long. Millie and I screamed and yelled, and I said things I never wanted to say. It was the kind of fight that feels like it's going to be the end, like it's going to ruin everything. But then my dad did the most insane thing, the one thing that completely shattered my trust and broke the last thread of anything we ever had. He moved Millie into our house. It was like she was a secret he was keeping from me, a secret that just happened. He didn't ask, he didn't care, he just moved Millie in and acted like I wouldn't even notice. I came home, I opened the door, and Millie was sitting on the couch. It was my house, but it felt like an alien spaceship. My dad told me that she was taking over my music room, the room I used to hide away, to play guitar, to write songs, to have a space where I could just be myself. The only place in the world where I could feel a little bit like myself again after Mom died. He acted like it was no big deal, but it was the biggest deal in the world to me. It was as if he was replacing Mom with Millie, making a clean break from the past, moving on without a second thought for me. I wanted to scream, but I just felt numb, like someone had pulled the plug on everything and I was slowly running out of air. There was something else, though, something I couldn't quite pin down, a feeling I couldn't shake. It was almost like Millie was trying to become someone else, someone she wasn't. I knew that my dad was telling me one thing and Millie was saying another thing, and I couldn't figure out who to believe. She started going on shopping trips with my dad, saying that she was bonding with me. But it was all an act. Millie just kept asking my dad for money. She'd act like she was buying new outfits and makeup for me, but it was all just for her. All just for her to try to be what she thought I wanted her to be. Or what my dad wanted her to be. Or what they both thought my mom had been. I couldn't help it, but I got mad. I got angry. And I didn't try to hide it. I fought with Millie, and I fought with my dad. And it was like everything was cracking and breaking apart, but neither one of them would stop. They were so obsessed with being together, so blinded by this new relationship, this fantasy they had created, that they couldn't even see what they were doing to me. It felt like they were both playing a part. And I was stuck in the middle. My dad was convinced that Millie was perfect for me. He said she was like a sister, that we had so much in common. But Millie was no sister to me. Millie was a stranger, someone I could barely stand to be in the same room with, let alone spend any time with. She was a stranger who wanted to be my best friend, a stranger who wanted to take over my life, a stranger who wanted to erase my mom from everything. I missed Mom, and I missed my dad. It felt like I was grieving their loss all over again. Then there was this whole cemetery thing. My dad suggested that we could visit Mom's grave together, just the three of us. He told me that we could all remember her together. It felt like a joke, a really horrible, painful joke. How could he think that I would want to spend time at Mom's grave with Millie? The woman who was trying to be her, who was trying to take her place. I felt like he was just trying to make me feel better, to make everything okay, but he was completely missing the point. We had a big fight, the worst one yet. It was like I was trying to wake him up, to tell him everything that was going on, to make him see how I was hurting, but he wouldn't even listen. He was so blinded by Millie, by his new life, that he didn't care what was going on with me. It was like I wasn't even his daughter anymore. The biggest moment, the one that sealed the deal, was my wedding. It was a small wedding, just me, Efru, and our closest friends and family. But Millie had to be there, of course. My dad said that Millie had a panic attack, that she just couldn't stay home. He was trying to protect her, trying to pretend like she was fragile, that she was sick, but I saw right through him. It was all just an excuse. She wasn't sick, not really. She wanted to be at my wedding. She wanted to be part of the family. She wanted to show everyone how she was the most important person in my dad's life. She wore this red dress, all sparkles and ruffles, like she was trying to be a princess in my own wedding. And then she started introducing herself to everyone as my stepmother. It was just crazy, completely over the line. The whole day was ruined. Efru's mom and the rest of her family got so upset that they said they didn't want anything to do with my dad and Millie anymore. It felt like I had finally reached my breaking point. I realized then, really, deeply understood, that my dad had chosen Millie. He didn't even try to make me understand. He just made his choice. And I was left in the dust. Then there was the ring thing. My dad wanted me to go to Millie's baby shower. He promised to give me Mom's engagement ring if I went. It was an obvious attempt to manipulate me, to get me to pretend everything was okay. I just wanted him to stop trying to control me. To stop trying to make everything perfect when nothing was perfect. And I definitely didn't want to go to a baby shower for Millie. It was bad enough that my dad had let Millie move into our house, that he was forcing me to pretend to be okay with it. It was bad enough that he acted like Millie was the perfect stepmom for me. It was bad enough that my dad had let Millie into everything, every part of my life, without asking me. Without even thinking about how it would affect me. I was already completely broken, but that moment, when I learned that my dad had taken Mom's ring and given it to Millie, it felt like he was pulling at the last string holding me together, trying to tear everything apart. I told my dad I didn't want anything to do with Millie, that I couldn't be in the same room as her, let alone spend any time with her, and I didn't want to go to the baby shower, or see any of them, ever again. It was over, and I needed to move on. I needed to find a way to be happy again, to find a way to heal. I needed to find a way to love myself again, to be myself again. I walked away, and I haven't looked back. I don't want to be hurt anymore. It's been hard, it's been painful, it's been lonely, but it's also been freeing. It's been an awakening. I have found peace, at least a bit of peace. I've started to pick up the pieces of my life and put them back together. It's slow, it's messy, but I'm doing it, one piece at a time. I'm still grieving for Mom. But I'm also grieving for my dad, the dad I used to know, the dad I loved. And I'm trying to let go. I'm learning to be strong, to be brave. I'm learning to be myself again.